Waking up at 5 a.m. sounded like the worst thing and the best thing ever. I'll tell you why. I am a mother of 5. I'm a teacher. I'm a wife. We have an entire household to run, plus our working lives, and we also live on a farm, and there's just a lot going on. I thought about waking up earlier several times throughout my life, but I never really took action on it, and I almost lacked the inspiration and just the willpower. It was really, really hard. I'm sure many of you can relate with this feeling. Either we have wanted to kind of make a change, but we don't really know where to start, or we have already started to make the change somehow, but it's not really consistent and we're not seeing like the results that we want. So in my journey of finally trying to make a decision to change and create new habits and routines that work for me, I came across this book here. This is the 5 a.m. Club, and I read the entire book, which is like a really big deal for me. I haven't been able to read a book from cover to cover in almost a decade, just because I've always said to myself, I'm too busy to read. I can't really sit down and do this kind of thing. I'm always running around. I'm with my kids all the time, which all of those things are true. This is something that I just wanted to make as a personal commitment to myself. So I said, even if I read a couple of pages at a time, something is something. And with this particular piece of literature, I started to read a couple of pages and I just wanted to keep reading on and on and on. So I'm going to review the book, The 5 a.m. Club. I have personal experience with using the techniques in this book. This is something that has been very drastic and impactful for me, and coming to you with the background that I have and the personal life that I have, it has been a game changer. Now, just like with all sorts of other techniques and self-help and things that are out there, nothing is going to be a perfect practice or, something that's going to be like fits your expectation 100%. And even throughout this book and the techniques that are relayed to us, it even says, if you need to tweak some things here and there, you've got to make it your own thing, because we're all unique individuals who have unique lives. So the 5 a.m. Club has definitely been impactful for me, and it's something that I have also shared with lots of people I have met and come across with. So the book itself is written by the author Robin Sharma, and this particular book has sold over 15 million copies worldwide. So probably one of you have already read this book or come across this book. But anyway, yeah, it's very popular. It's out there. And the way that the book is written is pretty interesting. I would say that it's a combination of the actual techniques that are in the book, as well as an entire story and dialogue that's happening. Basically, the premise of the book surrounds 2 people who meet a mentor, and the mentor guides them through all of these techniques and tools, like in a storytelling way. Personally, I would say I was not as into the dialogue and the storytelling, only because, out of respect with the author and whatever everybody else thinks, I personally thought that it was kind of corny and cheesy, and there were certain lines in there that were just very obvious that were happening in the book, oh, so you're saying that this can change my life? Yes, exactly. So it's a couple lines in there were just borderline cheesy, corny, and I think it was really just to kind of give it that backbone storyline that people just love storytelling. So I think that that's why the author took that angle. There's a lot of this storytelling up until maybe 3/4 of the way. So you're reading this whole storyline, now you're engaged with the characters, now you're engaged with the story, and then that last bit of the book is where all of the techniques just fall in. And I remember getting to that part of the book and I was like, Yes, 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 yes. Like it was just hitting. And I think the best part of the techniques that the book has is that they're all basically based around neuroscience. So all of these techniques and the whole concept of waking up at 5 a.m. and how your body functions at 5 a.m. is based around neuroscience and the way and things that have been studied in the past. So as I continued to read the book and as I continued to read more of the science, I really started to become convinced that these are things that are tried and true. These are things that do work for human beings. There are just undeniable truths that are happening inside of our bodies. And if you want to read the book, I highly encourage you to pick up the copy, given everything that I've just said about it. But the concepts that are towards the last part of the book are very, very valuable. I have a bachelor's degree, went to college, I have a minor's in psychology. I also have done lots of other trainings. I'm a Montessori trained school teacher currently, so I've done a lot of like educational work. And this has to be one of the most impactful pieces of literature I have come across in a very long time. Again, this is a book that I have read cover to cover for the first time in over a decade. And I knew that there was something good that was going to unfold in the book. So I just kept on going until I read the whole thing. And I am so glad that I did. Now, moving on to how I apply this into my everyday life. I can happily say that I have been waking up at 5 a.m. every day for almost 2 months now. And that might not sound like a whole lot of time. And like, you know, you're probably expecting I'm going to like drop some serious knowledge speaking out of like long time experience. But for me, it has been probably the most, I don't know, like mind frame changing 2 months of my whole life. I mean, even the tagline of this book says, own your morning and elevate your life. Yes, it's absolutely true. It is absolutely true. And it is because when you wake up early enough in the morning and you have that time to yourself and the world is quiet and you have that kind of personal, intimate time with yourself, you are able to think things that you wouldn't have had time to think of before. So all that time that I didn't have before and all of those moments where I would kind of like make the reasons and make the excuses as to why I couldn't do something, I suddenly had the time to do it. And in the book, not only does it tell you to just wake up at 5 a.m. and then the rest takes care of itself, there is a guideline for the techniques that are in there. So you're waking up at 5, but you're doing a bunch of other things to fit into a certain time frame to get your mind started and going in different ways that it would not normally do if you were waking up at a typical hour that you normally would. I like to refer to the time that I wake up normally as hitting the ground running. That is how I would feel when I would wake up, when the rest of my house was waking up, when things were kind of already happening. Sometimes I wouldn't even be the first person to be awake. And automatically, without you maybe even realizing it, it kind of puts you in that fight, flight, or freeze, you know, that reactive response and feeling like you haven't had enough time to wrap your mind around what's going on. So in this book, it tells you all the benefits of why waking up early is important. And it also gives you lots of different things that you can do. Ultimately, the book gives you a structure for your ideal day. So it gives you a structure for an entire day. There are lots of diagrams in this book. There are lots of models. There's lots of examples. There's journaling guidelines. There's working out guidelines. There's just like a lot of information towards the end. And it is written in such a way where it stresses the importance of our health, of our mental health, of our longevity, of our creative genius, basically, that is inside of us. I mean, there's some very inspiring words, phrases. I can't even tell you how many quotes from famous people are in this book. I mean, the amount of quotes that are in here, I was just like, wow, this author is really doing like some intense research on like history, which is incredibly helpful. This is definitely something that I would recommend if you're somebody who is more of like just a linear thinker. You want the evidence, you want the research, you will get it. You just kind of have to hang in there. I think that this type of style, that the way the book was written and also the techniques that are in there, can reach every single person. As human beings, we know that our bodies just function a certain way. And so we can understand that that the information that's in this book is something that truly reaches us deep down inside. So the information that is in here is absolutely important for anybody. I have personally shared this book with friends of mine, with my husband, with people at work. Like, I talk about this because not only has it inspired me, but I guess people can also see that I have been doing something different. I have been getting comments from people, from friends, like, your energy just seems, different. You just seem more prepared. The ideas you bring to the table are different. Like, what's going on? Like, what are you doing that's new in your life? And again, I am a mother of 5, so I get approached in that sense, like, how do you do it all? How do you do this and that? I mean, I am fueled. I am inspired. I have accepted the fact that self-care is absolutely important in your life. It is something that you cannot put to the wayside. It is something that you cannot postpone until later. Taking care of yourself, no matter how that means to you or where you start, is not only important, it is essential. If we step back and take a look at the world, big picture, and we see what is happening in the world, and we hear the struggles that people are going through, even here in the country that I live in the USA, we have shocking numbers of people who are struggling with mental health, depression. I mean, even extreme drastic measures that are just popping up. This is something that is absolutely essential to our well-being. And if I can do this, and if I can adapt this into my lifestyle, you can too. I struggled so hard. I hit so many walls. I tried to convince myself that I could just skip a day, I could just sleep in, I could just, do all of these things. In the book, it has a great piece of advice. The mentor that is in the book is talking to one of the characters, and the character says, can I just do this routine Monday to Friday, or can I take weekends off? The mentor said, you can do that, but if you're putting in part of the work, you can expect part of the results. And that was something that really sank into me. Another thing that really stood out in the book was a quote that was just right to my heart, kind of on the track of what I was saying about the mental health, issues that our society is facing. And the quote said, most people die at 30 and are buried at 80. That really just hit me so hard, because we are in the grind. I say we, the people, the middle class, lower class, that's the majority of us, We are in the grind, day in, day out. We wear so many hats a day. We are family members, we are workers, we are innovators, we are creators, we are sustainers. We are so many different types of people, so many different types of human beings. We wear all these hats, right? So we have to be able to take care of ourselves. This is something that must happen. We get locked into the grind. We do this until who knows when. And that's it. That was the life. We look back and we say, I did my very best. But you could do more. You could do even more. And you might be thinking to yourself, how could waking up at 5 a.m. be this drastic turning point for me? How could that be something that is, going to take my life from here to here? Oof, you just have to find out for yourself. Why don't you get yourself one of these copies? Or you can go ahead and start doing some of this scientific research yourself. You will be blown away by the information that you find about what human beings are capable of when they're able to take their life into their own hands, when you can create time outside of what the industrial world is telling you to do, when you can create time outside of what influence is out there for you, outside of things that have not, come into your day yet, when you have created that peace, that floating space for your mind in the morning for you to be able to structure that time for yourself, it is invaluable. For me, I do not really have that time where I'm with all of my kids and I'm doing a bunch of different things and I'm like, hey guys, I just need 1 hour or 2 hours to myself. We can try to do that so many different ways. We can schedule babysitters. We can have somebody, step in for us. We can try to get away for a little bit. We can try to do that however which way we want. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, it just personally doesn't work. There is nothing like the quiet, the peace before the day is awake, before society is buzzing, before your news feed is flooding you with information, before things are just pouring in, when we are oversensitized to what is happening and we cannot even get our minds around it fast enough. This is the time where we get to take our life into our own hands, where we get to tell ourselves what exactly it is that we are going to do, why we're going to do it, and we get to find that purpose in that place. I truly wholeheartedly believe so many of the issues that we are facing mentally today is because we are struggling to find a place in this world. We are struggling to find a space within the complexity of what's going on. And when we are able to think in the quiet with a little bit of guidelines to help guide our thinking patterns and what we can do during that time, it gives us the tools to take that into our own selves, to discover who we truly are inside. And did you know that you can make an impact in this world? Starting tomorrow, you can make an impact, because when you're changing this up here, when you're changing what is inside, you're changing what you are giving. You're changing what you are saying. You're changing what you are doing. You're changing your ideas. You're changing your approach to things. And that is how you are changing the world. We don't have to really go big scale on this and be like, I'm going to start doing this to radically come up with some experiment or idea. It doesn't even have to be that big scale. It is something as simple as just changing the chemistry within so that we can start treating others differently. And when that happens, they start to see you for who you are. And then suddenly your place in the world starts to rise up. You start to understand the truth about who you are. And maybe you thought you understood things about yourself, but this clarity, this time, starts to give rise to other truths that are giving you clarification on the things you might have believed before, or you might have thought were right before. These are things that in just these 2 months, I have started to uncover. Who knew that owning your morning and elevating your life could lead to so many deep-seated realizations and aha moments that are even spiritually connected to greater things without having any religious connotation with respect to whatever you guys, do. This is something that is just true about our human nature. And it's something that we can know for sure is there for us to use. Solid tools that can help us to immediately change our outlook on life. Habits and routines that you can be proud of are things that you are more likely to stick to. So if you are proud of yourself for waking up at this time, if you are proud of yourself for investing in your own self-care and your own mental health, then you are more likely to continue down this path. And when you're more likely to continue down that path, you're more likely to inspire others. And thus, you begin to change the world. So I will leave you with these thoughts and these reflections. And again, my journey started with 5 a.m. club. This was the doorway. This is the gateway. But now my brain is searching for more. My brain wants more. I want more. You know why? Because I am more. I am more than what I defined myself 2 months ago. I am worth it. I am worth it. I have days, months, years left in my life. I have capabilities beyond what I can comprehend. The future is untold, but if I'm proactive about the present, I've got a pretty good outcome coming up. Have a wonderful day, you guys. Be well, be blessed, continue on your journeys, and I'll see you next time.